In this video, you will learn about the order of operations. So first off, what is the order of operations? What it is it's a way to explain which procedures that we should perform first. So for example, if we had 3 plus 5 times 4, how do we know if we should add first or multiply first? So if we were to add first, 3 plus 5 would give me 8, then 8 times 4 is 32. If you multiply first, we have 5 times 4, which is 20, and then you add 3, which would give me 23. So the question is, which answer is correct? Well, I'll tell you ahead of time that it's going to be your second answer. And the reason is because there is a certain list of procedures that we need to perform. And we must perform this in a particular order. So the order of operations are as follows. You begin with parentheses, and then from there we do exponents. And then after exponents, you multiply and divide. And then after that, you add and subtract. So as we see in this example, if we had to choose between multiplying first or adding first, based off the order of operations, we would multiply before we do the addition. So if you take the first letter of each word and put them together, we have PEMDAS. Now this is simply a mnemonic or a way to remember the order of operations. Some people just remember PEMDAS, PEMDAS. Other people like to use an acronym with this. So the P, pair that up with the word, and E, the E goes with the word, M goes with the word, and etc. So if we do that, we can get this very commonly heard phrase, and that is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So the please, the P for the please, comes from the P for parentheses, E for excuse comes from the E for exponents, and etc. So whatever you want to do to remember the order of operations, it doesn't matter as long as you remember which ones to do first. So now we're just going to walk you through many different examples where we have to solve using the order of operations. Here we see 5 plus 8 times 2. So we need to do the multiplication before we do the addition. So the 8 times 2 we do first to get 16, and then we add 5 plus 16 to get 21. Okay, next we have 4 plus 5 minus 3 times 2. So based off order of operations, we begin with parentheses. Right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P comes first, parentheses comes first. Alright, so we work within the parentheses, and then we still follow order of operations within the parentheses as well. So after parentheses are exponents, there are no exponents, and then multiply and divide. So we can multiply next, the 3 times 2, that would give me 6. I still need to do the parentheses first, so I need to do the 5 minus 6, which would be negative 1. So we now have 4 plus negative 1, which is 4 minus 1, which would be 3. Next we see 3 times 2 to the third power. We do the exponents first, so parentheses, exponents. So exponents is first, 2 to the third, or 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. After exponents, we then multiply and divide. So now we have 3 times 8, which gives me 24. Next we have 5 minus 7 squared minus 4. Order of operations begins with the parentheses, so we do the 5 minus 7 first, which gives me negative 2. After parentheses is exponents, so we then do negative 2 squared, which is negative 2 times negative 2. Negative times negative is positive, so that would be a positive 4. And then 4 minus 4 is going to be 0. Okay, next we have this expression. So we begin with parentheses first. So the 2 plus 3 gives me 5. So this is 5. After parentheses, we then do exponents. So we do 5 squared, which gives me 25. So we have negative 3 times 25 plus 6 times 2. So after exponents, we then do multiplication and division. So multiplication, we have negative 3 times 25. 3 times 25 is 75. Positive times negative would be a negative. Okay, then multiply here as well. 6 times 2, that gives me 12. So I have negative 75 plus 12, and then we can do that last, the addition and subtraction. So negative 75 plus 12, we have different signs, so I need to subtract 75 minus 12, which is 63, and then keep the sign of the bigger number, so 75 is bigger and is negative, so my solution is a negative 63. Next we have this expression. So here we have parentheses and we have brackets. What I need to do with parentheses and brackets is I work with the innermost grouping symbol first. So the bracket contains the 5 minus 4 in parentheses. So we start here first and then work your way out after. So 5 minus 4 is going to be 1. Okay, so that's 1. So we now have 3 times 1. So parentheses is good here. Within the brackets, we still need to do order of operations. So then we have exponents. 3 to the 0 power will always equal 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1. Alright, so I now have this. So after parentheses, we have exponents, we did that. Now we need to multiply and divide within this parentheses. So within the brackets, we need to multiply first. And that gives me 3 times 1, which is 3. And then I can add and subtract here within the brackets. So I have 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. So this bracket right here would be a 6. So I now have 3 times 6, which would be 18. Next we have 6 plus 3 divided by 4 squared minus 13. So with a fraction serves as a grouping mechanism. What that means is that we can think of the numerator as being in parentheses, and then your denominator as being in parentheses. So I take care of each of those separately first, and then I start dividing after. So 6 plus 3 on the top, that would give me 9. On the bottom, we do the exponent first. So 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. And then we subtract 16 minus 13 to get 3. So I have 9 over 3, which would equal 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then lastly, we have this example. So notice this is not a bracket, this is an absolute value sign, which also serves as a grouping symbol, so it acts like a parentheses. So within this absolute value, I need to work within there, and I need to follow order of operations within the absolute value. So I begin in here with the parentheses, so I have 5 minus 8. We do that first, which 5 minus 8 would be negative 3. So I have 4 minus 2 times negative 3 to the first power, minus 12, and then times 3. Alright, so this is absolute value sign. And then we need to now do exponents. So we have negative 3 to the first power. That's just going to be negative 3. Okay, so that's taken care of. You just get rid of that almost. And then after exponents, we now have multiplication and division. So we have 4, and then negative 2 times negative 3. Negative times negative is a positive, and 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, and then we can now do the addition and subtraction within the absolute value. So 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 minus 12 is negative 2. All right, so we have absolute value of negative 2 times that by 3. Well, the absolute value of negative 2, remember, is the distance that negative 2 is from 0. So the distance of negative 2 from 0 is a positive 2. And distance will always be positive. So I simply just change the sign to a positive with whatever's inside. And then we have 2 times 3, and that would give me 6. So my final answer would be 6.